So we've got breaking news this morning in the case of Julian Assange. We can throw this tear sheet up on the screen. So a UK court has denied extradition of Assange to the U.S. Very significant development here, and a win, of course, for Julian Assange, although one that, should be tempered a little bit. Glenn Greenwald had a great analysis here of why exactly this judge ruled against extradition. If we can throw Glenn's tweets up on the screen. So he says, look, the rejection by the UK court of the U.S. government's request to extradite Julian Assange to stand trial on espionage charges, obviously great news, but the judge endorsed most of the USG's theories, ultimately found the U.S. prison system too inhumane to permit extradition. U.S. DOJ has already said it intends to appeal. The question, and I'm hearing different things on this, Glenn says, is whether the courts will keep Assange in prison while that appeal is pending. The court ordered him released, but it is unclear if the DOJ appeal will keep him in jail. This was not a victory for press freedom. Quite the contrary, the judge made clear she believed there are grounds to prosecute Assange in connection with the 2010 publication. It was instead an indictment of the insanely oppressive U.S. prison system for security threats. Ultimately, though, from a humanitarian and a political perspective, what matters most is that Assange be freed as soon as possible. U.S. government doesn't care what prison he's in or why. They just want him silenced and in a cage. So important here, and I read through, admittedly, not the entire judgment, but a portion of it. And what she really focused in on was the risk of suicide.
Yes.
I mean, he's, clinically...
They call him an extreme risk of suicide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's clinically depressed. You talk about if you're extradited to the U.S., he's very likely to be kept in solitary confinement, which is brutal and inhumane for anyone, regardless of their current mental health status. Julian's been put through hell for years now, so no surprise that he would be on the brink here. So that was really the piece that she ruled on, was essentially, as Glenn said, that the U.S. prison systems are so brutal and inhumane that he would pose a significant suicide risk.
The point that I think that Glenn is also making is actually that, remember, the judge has ruled the U.S. both has standing and has presented this in what they call in good faith in U.S. court. So this isn't a ruling on the merits. But it does seem that this is going to throw a big wrench into all of this. I don't know that much about the British legal system. It's actually very different than our legal system in terms of presumptions and the amount of rights that you have and all of that. So, don't think that the appeal could not go, the U.S.'s way. It very much could. And there's also, don't quote me, but as I understand it, there can be more like political interference. Like they could say, well, the government, if the position of the Johnson government is that Assange should be extradited, then that actually can change things in the British system. Again, I'm not an expert or anything. This is just on some things that I had read. But generally, the way that it's looking here is that his extradition could be denied, and as Glenn said, he could still be kept in prison. But it does seem difficult to say if he's an extreme risk of suicide in a U.S. prison, why wouldn't he also be an extreme risk of suicide in a U.K. prison if he's being kept in similar conditions? But that's just the update that we have.
Right. Well, the judge's view in this judgment is that the conditions in UK prisons, which I believe are not nearly as grotesque and inhumane as the ones he would be subjected to here. That was part of what factored in here. I mean, there's a couple other things here. I mean, first of all, Trump issued this slew of pardons. He could still, including, these Blackwater, in my view, war criminals, he could still pardon Assange and Snowden. Seems unlikely that he's going to do that, which tells you a lot. The other thing that I think it's really important to point out here, and it's a point that Glenn always makes when he's on the show with us, and by the way, we're going to try to get Glenn on this week to delve more deeply into this, but you may hate Assange for the WikiLeaks release of Hillary Clinton and the Clinton campaign's emails. That's not even what this is about. This is about the original releases of what was happening in Iraq under the Bush administration, right? And it says a lot about the fact that, so many liberals and progressives were strongly on his side at that time. And then once he became politically inconvenient for them, they, abandoned their principles and completely abandoned him and don't even care what happens anymore.
Well, this is also about press, because what's the line, right? What are they prosecuting him for? They're saying that Assange should be prosecuted for walking Manning through how to hack into the system or whatever. That's what they claim.
Yeah.
I mean, every journalist, as Glenn always says when he's here talking about on the show, has a line on their website about how to use, different encryption keys and to email them. Like, technically, could you say that that is guiding people through a system and goading them in order to hack into a system to leak you information? That's also kind of your job as a journalist. So what is the legal precedent that is set here? And I've seen, journalists at the New York Times and others, people who are national security reporters who under this scrutiny, I could be thrown in jail for what's happening here. So we should all keep that in mind.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that one for sure. Tomorrow on Rising, friends of the show, Ryan Grimm, Jennifer Holdsworth, and Rachel Bovard, they're going to join us, and we'll have the latest on the Georgia Senate runoff election. That's
right. Remember to hit the subscribe button. You don't miss any of our videos. Don't forget to like and share as well. And thanks so much for getting us to 1 million subscribers. Could not have done it without all of you. Absolutely crazy. Can't believe that we're already there. Thank you, guys. We really love you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.